G'day there guys, Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's bloody good episode, and if you do, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and maybe even the notification bell if you'd like. With that said, I do hope you enjoyed today's stories. Let's go. Posted by OpenThrowaway9, titled, Am I the asshole for sending a recording of my ex asking to open our relationship up to her parents? I, male 26, broke up with my girlfriend of 4 years, Mary, female 27, about a month ago because she asked me to open up our relationship. It is, was, and always will be a major line in the sand for me, something that I've opened up to her about in the past. We've had a great relationship, and the only thing that stands out, and the only reason it stands out now is because of this situation, is that she progressively started making a lot more sexual jokes about some of our shared friends over the last few months. Some involved her being with them, and others were three-way jokes, etc. I won't lie, I played along a little, but I consistently made some joking response along the lines of, "You're more than enough for me," and/or, "I don't like sharing." Never took any of it seriously because why would I? Until she asked, and I found out and realized that she probably was trying to gauge my response and see how open I was. Mary asked when we were getting ready for bed about a month ago, kinda bluntly. I was scrolling on my phone and she was getting changed and goes, "If I asked you to open the relationship, would you?" This might sound super corny, but it was like I had an out-of-body experience, and all of the above hit me at once. All the jokes and comments so far made sense in a she's trying to butter me up to the idea kind of way, and I went really numb for a second. To her credit, she must have seen how freaked out I was and asked if I was okay. I pretended that I didn't hear her and asked her to repeat herself, and she was really hesitant to. Kept saying that she didn't see anything and only repeated it when I insisted. Then I went to voice notes, set it to record, put my phone down to talk to her. I don't remember much of it, just that I tried to stay calm and keep her talking, but the note is just over an hour and a half long, and it feels like I'm listening into a conversation that happened between two strangers. She trickle-truthed all the way through it, and ultimately stuck to the idea that she hadn't been cheating. She didn't have any one person in mind, but had been fantasizing about mutual friends and people at work, and seemed to get the idea that they'd be open to something if she asked. A lot of it is her being defensive, and me trying to needle information out of her without it escalating into an argument. A lot of me placating her and trying to make her feel comfortable enough to keep talking. The apartment is mine, and I suggested that we take a break a few nights later, so she went to stay with a friend for the weekend. By the next Monday, I'd spoken to some of my friends and my sisters, separately, and come to the conclusion that we were done, and suggested that she started looking for somewhere else to stay. She was upset, but didn't really argue, and had the vast majority of her stuff out, and at her parents' house, by the end of the week. So, coming to 2 days ago, her mum reached out over WhatsApp to say that she was disappointed in how I'd handled everything. The message wasn't really framed in a way that she was reprimanding me, more that she wished that we could have worked it out. She then added me to a group chat with her husband, ex's stepdad, and they both kind of tag-teamed me, saying that we could work it out, I was making a mistake, and that I shouldn't overthink things. I eventually got it out of them that my ex had fed them a very vague story that we had broken up because she wanted to take the next step in our relationship, and that I'd freaked out, we'd argued, and that she'd effectively been kicked out. Her stepdad was leaning on the fact that he thought that I was more mature than this, and her mum just kept repeating how disappointing this whole situation was. So I was pissed. In the heat of the moment, I told them I had the recording of our conversation that I could send that would explain what she actually meant about taking the next step. I initially tried to email it to them, but it was being a bollock, so I eventually shared it via Drive. In the meantime, I took a few screenshots of my ex and I's messages, ones where she had made jokes and comments about sex with our friends and a lady from her office, and sent them along to that shared chat group. I haven't heard back since. Again, it's been 2 days, and I don't feel as vindicated anymore. A good few of my ex's comments were about other women, and I'm freaking out because I don't know how, if at all, open she's been about her sexuality with them. I also think that I shouldn't have engaged at all, and I shouldn't have felt the need to prove my innocence to either of them. Am I the asshole? I've checked in with friends and over social media, and it doesn't look like there's been any fallout. Also, my ex blocked me a week ago, before I spoke to her parents, so I can't really contact her without going in person. And at this point, is it too late to even give her a heads up or check in? In the comments, you are defending yourself because she couldn't be honest and unleashed her parents on you. Any results are her responsibility, not the asshole. OP says, I don't think she intentionally sicked her parents on me, but I also feel like I don't even know who she really is at this point. I also don't like the feeling of just making shit difficult for her, even though she clearly is still telling half-truths. All she needed to say was that it didn't work out between us and I'm not comfortable discussing more. Not make up some lie about your character. She's 100% at fault for any consequences from you rectifying her lies. I might not have shared recordings and screenshots, but I would have said, look, if you two have an open relationship and raised her to see that as the next step, then that's great for you guys, but I'm not comfortable having that kind of relationship and won't be pressured into having an open relationship. And then block all of them, not the asshole. Yeah, I think that was a better way to go about it with this one. I think you're not the asshole regardless, because this was not a problem that you caused or started. Continuously trying to force an open relationship onto someone that obviously doesn't want it is only going to end in you getting broken up with. I don't know what she was trying to do there. And I don't know what she expected. The amount of disrespect towards you with all those half-truths as well and saying, oh, he didn't want to do the next step and I'm not going to tell you what I mean by next step because that should be obvious, when in reality, I don't mean the obvious thing, so I can get away with this doublespeak. I don't know, it's just such shit from her. She's a terrible person for putting you in this situation. And you know what, fair enough that you got the real truth out there with the recording, but I don't think that was the best way you could have handled this one. Back up to the post, we have an edit, trigger warning for sexual assaults. To address a few points I've seen in multiple comments, we don't live in the US and we have no laws on recording private conversations on the books. I'm not proud of doing it, but it wasn't illegal. Mary and I had several mature, calm conversations about what we both wanted out of this relationship. Mary wasn't sure if she wanted to stay and kind of admitted to self-sabotaging by asking about opening the relationship. Mary and I had been friends since we were 11. Her mum was my coach when I swam competitively, and our friend group and families are very close and intermingled. So she was wary about what would happen if we went on a break or fully broke up. I was not trying to punish her for being open to polyamory. Trigger warning below. Mary and I are both bi, and when I was in my last year of high school, I was involved in an inappropriate relationship with a teaching assistant. He was arrested and registered as a sex offender, but during the time we were involved, he convinced me to be with other people as well. He effectively pimped me out for a year and physically assaulted me when I eventually said no and tried to cut him off. Mary knew all of the above, as she helped me through it at the time, and I was very clear that I can't do something like that again. I know that what I went through wasn't an actual open relationship, but it was very much framed as one, and that has stuck with me. I would never put down other people for doing it, but I made this all very clear to Mary in the other serious relationship I was in before her. I've carried a lot of issues from then into future relationships, and I'm in therapy, as I've worked with Mary to not punish her for what other people have done to me, but for as great and supportive Mary was, she did have an issue with trying to gaslight me. She would say one thing, and then, typically during an argument, would vehemently argue otherwise and genuinely make me question myself. It took her coming to therapy with me, and sometimes showing her texts, for her to realize this was a problem and we had been working on it together. Me recording her was still not right, but it wasn't an attempt to gather something incriminating, it was just a response. It was a poor response that I shouldn't have done, but it wasn't malicious, nor did I intend to send it to anyone at the time. Also, since making this post and reading your replies, I've gone back to her parents to apologize. I did initially try to tell them that she wasn't being honest, and that I wanted to keep things private, but they kept going on about me being immature and that this was disappointing. I'll be honest, I got a bit angry again rereading some of their messages, but it didn't really warrant me outing Mary the way that I did. I appreciate everyone's judgment. And now, onto the update. Hi everyone. I want to preface this with a genuine thank you. I came to this sub because my mind was all over the place yesterday, and you all helped me clear it up a little, even the people who clearly weren't trying to be helpful. As a result, on reflection, I'm not sorry for recording her. I understand that people don't like the idea of being recorded by an intimate partner, especially when having an intimate conversation, and you, naturally, support Mary on that front out of solidarity, but all I can say is, you do not know what Mary is like, or what our relationship was like either. A little before she came to therapy with me, and the incident that pushed me to try and get her to come with me, Mary texted me to pick her up a Smarties McFlurry on the way home from work. When I brought it home and gave it to her, she had told me that she asked for a dairy milk one they don't even do here anymore, and rolled her eyes at me for not listening to her again. Trying to show her what she had sent led to a 15-minute shouting match, which resulted in her throwing her ice cream at the wall and shattering my phone screen. That's one incident of many. She told me that I was flirting for holding the door open for a group because there were girls that you were clearly trying to impress with them, and went on such a long tirade about my male chivalry was just a selfish way to gain attention from women beyond her. I am not apologizing anymore for recording her. I wouldn't have had such a visceral need to defend myself if I wasn't with someone who kept hurting me. I made that recording because I knew that she would lie, and she did. But I thought she would lie to me, not to other people, and I wanted it strictly so I had her words there on my phone, should she start claiming she said anything else. At the end of the day, though, we didn't end up having any of that, and we parted maturely. I understand that a lot of you won't believe that was my intention, and I'll just have to live with that. That being said, I saw red during that exchange, and saw this as a way to finally show people that I wasn't misremembering things. It was spiteful and vindictive, and I can see so many different ways that I could have dealt with the situation more calmly, but I was angry that I didn't do any of them. And for that, I am still sorry. Like I said in the edit to my previous post, I apologized to her parents. I apologized for getting angry, cussing them out, and for sharing private information about their daughter to them. I fully acknowledged that I was being spiteful, and that it was a harsh escalation of a response. Annie and Paul, what I'll call them for this post, accepted it at face value, but asked if I could come over for lunch this afternoon so we could have an actual conversation. It was nice, but really awkward too. Mary wasn't there. I apologized again, and Paul and Annie said that they were sorry for interfering and not giving me a chance to tell my side. We both agreed that we'd acted inappropriately, and that going forward, we wouldn't involve ourselves in this topic. We left things on relatively better terms, but I'm not going to talk to them for a while. Above everything, they are Mary's parents, and they will always be in her corner, as parents should be. So keeping my distance is in everyone's best interests. As for Mary, she unblocked me last night and let loose a tirade of angry messages. They mostly, of course, consisted of how creepy and disgusting I was for recording her. Again, I recorded her because I knew that she would lie, and all she did was prove my point, to which, despite still cussing me out, she had no real response for. I got from her, Anne, and Paul that things are understandably awkward after what I'd shared, but she's still staying with them for the time being. They've not discussed it with her, beyond letting her know that they'd heard the recording and now knew that she'd lied, but there has been no indication of negative consequences. And that's it. I'm reeling from 4 years of a relationship being over, of my girlfriend and best friend using my own trauma as a way to make me break up with her, and then pretending that everything was okay just to lie about me behind my back. But what's hurting me more is how I only now understand, from reading replies to my post and talking to my friends, that I was with yet another abuser, and I am nowhere near as strong or as over what happened to me as I thought. Thanks for your help. In the comments, Foxy's sly old Stody Fox says, a gaslighting ex-girlfriend. Memories. You're right. Not all women are like this, but it hurts when you sink several years of your life into someone who is. OP says, in addition to my post, I want to make something crystal clear. The people still going through their comments claiming that Mary asking for an open relationship is some indicator of modern women, or her, being inherently promiscuous, or using it to push some narrative, were weird and annoying. In addition, the people who deliberately skewed the order of events and/or tried to patronizingly psychoanalyze me to try and frame me as worse than I actually am were especially unhelpful. I understand what I did struck a nerve with a lot of people, and I wholeheartedly recognize how I did not do what a lot of people would have preferred that I do in this situation, but I came to this sub for advice and judgment. So please judge me for what I did, not what you think I did. Blonde Boba Fett says, OP, reading your edit in your original post and your ex's behavior, I'm so happy that you got out. If she's throwing and breaking stuff, that's the beginning signs of things potentially escalating to physical abuse. I'd stay away from her and block her moving forward. Yeah, you know what, OP? That's a lot of stress that you don't need in your life, and it's so good that you're out of there and not stuck with a psycho like that. No one deserves to be treated that way. No one deserves that ridicule and abuse from a vile person like your ex. And I hope that there are consequences for her actions, but given that, the parents would really be the only ones to administer that and they didn't do anything, I seriously doubt that. So that's unsatisfying for me. But at least this can hopefully be a learning lesson of what to and not to look out for in the next partner that you find in the future. Obviously, take your time before doing that and heal up, rest and recover, do what you need to do. But I really do hope in the future you get the partner that you deserve, that will love you, will cherish you, and will take care of you. Because after all these shitty experiences you've been through, I feel so bad for you. I really just want the best for you. Our next post is by user Upstairs Writing 5155, titled, Would I be the asshole if I just tell everyone the truth about what's going on, even though it would ruin my husband's image? Okay, so my husband's been dealing with some major issues. We've not figured out what it is, but he's been dealing with certain delusions. For example, this all started 6 months ago when he was convinced he had caught me cheating because he found a document saying so on my laptop. When I arrived home, he tried looking for it to show me. He obviously couldn't find it. He's going to therapy, but as of right now, we're technically separated and living in different rooms. It's just because this keeps happening. A certain insecurity eats itself into my husband, and he becomes convinced that it's the truth. He either dreams proof, or he just convinces himself that anything is proof. I don't know what he does with the therapist, but I honestly don't see it getting better. Last week, he was mad at our daughter, 15, because she didn't want him to drive her to prom and make pictures with her. When I went to ask her, she said that that was not true. She had talked to her dad about what she would like to do when she graduates in 2 years. Her father just got really mad at the perceived slight. The problem is that he keeps talking to people about the issues. I was already wondering why so many mutuals stopped responding to me. But apparently, they all think that I'm an awful human being and a terrible spouse. I just want to tell people what's going on. Also, so they're aware that my husband is basically lying to them, and for them to tell me delusions that he might be having that I don't know. But at the very beginning of his therapy, he begged me not to tell anyone because people would think he's crazy. My sister said that it would also be an asshole thing to do that would basically feed into his delusions. I just feel like I'm done. Am I the asshole? Edits. We already did a brain scan/MRI and nothing was found. I am dyslexic and have always been bad at grammar, so excuse me please. This is non-US. In the comments, rstock1962 says, Is this therapist also a psychiatrist? I'm by no means an expert, but it sounds like therapy isn't what he needs, and maybe the therapist actually believes what he is saying as well. I think a more aggressive approach is needed. OP says, He doesn't trust me, so he doesn't tell me. I know he gets professional help because he introduced us, but as far as I know, it's a therapist, not a psychiatrist. Cerulean Fury says, So I'm assuming these are real, actual delusions while giving this advice. First and foremost, if he hasn't yet, he has to see a neurologist to rule out any physical causes, i.e. brain tumor, and second, can you have a therapy session with him and his therapist?
Tell them what's going on with your friends and family and come up with a mutual solution. With the therapist there, they can help your husband see how this is affecting everyone. In my opinion, this is really messy and could potentially devolve into a dangerous situation. It's not fair to anyone involved. I think they are real delusions. I would need to tell those very close to us. Only ones I knew loved him and would protect him. Ideally with him by my side while I told them. But, and a big one, I would need to speak with him and his therapist about it first. This needs a professional, delicate hand to guide it. You need help with this too. You, at the very least, need someone, a friend or family member that you can trust, to lean on. But you should also have a professional to talk to and to help you cope with this. Not the asshole, just needs to be handled in an extremely delicate way, with much discernment, professional guidance, and love as humanly possible. OP says, obviously I'm not in the medical field, but I can't describe them as anything else, mainly because we have not done any of the things he convinced himself of. For example, he was convinced our oldest daughter, 19, was pregnant because she said no to sushi. She was just not in the mood for raw fish. So my husband obviously became obsessed with the idea that our daughter was pregnant. He would go full rants saying how dare she, we gave her everything, etc. I don't know, man. This is just paranoid delusions going crazy. And I know that you've already had a scan on his brain to make sure that there's nothing else in there, but can you do another one? Can we get a second opinion on the brain scan? There's got to be something going wrong in there. You've got to do something to get a handle on this guy, to get control over this man, get him institutionalized or something, because these paranoid delusions have already destroyed a lot of your social life, or at least really negatively affected it. It's going to get worse. He's isolating you. He's doing the typical abuser thing. When do these paranoid delusions lead to him thinking that you're cheating on him and he starts being physically and mentally abusive towards you? Because not wanting sushi already sent him off the rails, so much so that he's like, my daughter is pregnant! How could she? We gave her everything! I can't believe it! No evidence, nothing. Just didn't want to eat sushi, so she's pregnant and now I can scream and shout as much as I want. That's a dangerous individual, OP. I would get my kids away from them until they sort their shit out, but I don't know what you do. I'd talk to a lawyer. But no, you wouldn't be the asshole if you told everyone the truth about what's going on, but I don't even know if that's the right solution. And now, on to the update. I wasn't allowed to update on Am I the Asshole because of the violent content of the post. I thank everyone for their supportive words, especially the people that have been through something similar. Thank you so much for sharing with me. It makes me feel less alone. Also, just because I've seen that a lot of people have not been able to read my first post, I've tried everything from getting him to a real psychologist to having him committed. I've tried with his doctor, with my mother-in-law, and with my lawyer, but he's not broken the law or actually assaulted me, just threatened to kill me and our daughter for being whores. But to the police, that does not matter because we don't matter. So please, all the suggestions you have, and suggestions to get him committed, or that he might have a tumor, or dementia, or schizophrenia, please stop. I have no fight left in me. I also have no legal ground over him. I can't care anymore, or I will drive myself insane. He still has a support net. He will never be alone, but that man is dangerous to me and my daughters, and the duty of a parent is above all else. So again, please stop suggesting what he could have or what I should do regarding him, because that job is no longer mine. First off, thank you for all your feedback and support. I took some time to process everything, and honestly I was at my breaking point. The situation has escalated in ways that I never imagined, and I've made some tough decisions. After I posted, things started to unravel quickly. About 5 months ago, when my husband's behavior first started escalating, I quietly consulted with a lawyer here. At that time, his delusions had begun to affect our daily lives, and I knew I needed legal advice. The divorce process requires a period of legal separation before the divorce can be finalized. We initiated this process, and I requested full custody of our 15-year-old daughter, given her increasing fear of her father. The court was also concerned and ordered a psychological evaluation for my husband to assess his mental fitness for parenting. A few weeks into the legal separation, my husband's paranoia worsened. He started placing Apple AirTags in my car and in our 15-year-old daughter's backpack, tracing our every move. My daughter was the one who found the AirTag in her bag and was terrified. When I confronted him, he insisted that it was for our safety, but it was clear to me that his paranoia was spiraling out of control. This incident deeply affected our daughter, who began refusing to see her father. Around this time, my mother-in-law reached out to me. She was concerned because my husband had accused her of cheating on his father, something that was completely out of character for him. Father-in-law didn't believe it for a second, but was deeply worried about his state of mind. Her reaching out was a small but much-needed relief. She acknowledged that his behavior was erratic and offered her support, knowing that something was seriously wrong. My older daughter, 19, had also become involved in the situation. She had been quietly documenting her father's behavior for months. She recorded 3 different occasions where my husband went on delusive rants. The first was about how I'm supposedly cheating on him with one of my co-workers, a man that I barely interact with. The second was about how our 15-year-old daughter was secretly dating someone older and lying to him about it. The third was about how the entire family was conspiring against him to make him look crazy. Watching these videos was heartbreaking, but they validated everything that I'd been dealing with privately. Things escalated further when my husband almost attacked one of my colleagues. He'd convinced himself that this man was the affair partner that I was supposedly seeing behind his back. It took all my strength to physically separate them before the situation turned violent. As the legal process continued, my lawyer informed me that due to the severity of the situation and the psychological evaluation ordered by the courts, my request for full custody was strongly considered. In Spain, courts typically prioritize the well-being of the child, and given my husband's mental state and the danger that he posed, it seemed likely that I would be granted full custody of our 15-year-old daughter. She had made it clear that she didn't want to see her father, and the court was taking her wishes into account. In the midst of this, my 19-year-old daughter decided to take matters into her own hands. She posted the 3 videos that she had recorded of her father's breakdowns on Instagram, along with a compilation of texts, photos, and other evidence that she had collected over the past few months. Her intention was to show the world what we had been enduring, but it quickly turned into a public spectacle. The backlash was intense. Some people were horrified and reached out with sympathy and support, while others criticized us for airing dirty laundry and accused my daughter of betraying her father. How dare you out this violent man that is a threat to your life? You've betrayed him. You should keep that secret so that when you're murdered, it's a mystery. There's some real geniuses out there, huh? As the divorce process continued, my husband's mental health became a significant factor. The psychological evaluation ordered by the court revealed the depth of his delusions, particularly around cheating and female sexuality. It became clear that he was not fit to make decisions regarding our daughter's well-being. The evaluation supported my claim for full custody, and the court is now in the process of finalizing that decision. In the meantime, all communication between my husband and me is being handled through our lawyers, and I'm ensuring that any interaction between him and our 15-year-old daughter is supervised. Given the severity of the situation and the damage done to our lives, I'm making plans to move away with my daughter once the legal proceedings are finalized. My reputation in our current community is shattered thanks to his delusions and thanks to the lies that he has spread. Starting fresh somewhere new seems like the only way for us to heal and to rebuild our lives. I never wanted it to come to this. I still care deeply for my husband, but I can't keep sacrificing our well-being for the sake of his image. The revelation that he's been lying to his therapist, or rather, his unqualified life coach, was a breaking point for me. I realized I couldn't trust him to get better on his own. Thankfully, some friends have started to see through his stories and are reaching out to us for support, which gives me hope. But I know it's going to be a long, difficult road ahead. For anyone else in a similar situation, please know that you're not alone. This has been the hardest decision that I've ever made. but sometimes you have to do what's best for your own mental health and safety, no matter how much it hurts. Thank you again for all the advice. I'm hopeful that this is the first step towards a better future, even if it's a painful one. In the comments, Out of Bounds 11 says, OP needs to hide and stay hidden. 100% this. OP doesn't realize it, but she has easily seen the face of the person that is going to murder her. I don't know what's going on in Spain that they can't put people on psych holds, but I hope to God they have restraining orders. Psych holds are normally voluntary, or you need to be in immediate danger to yourself or others. Just being delusional isn't enough. First post. You'd think the threats and physical threats to the coworker would be enough to go over the threat line, but this also seems like a relatively small community. But regardless of country, small-town politics and small-town cops might not follow the rules to the letter. This is so sad. Clearly there's something very wrong happening to him. Unfortunately, OP cannot help him. She must protect herself and her daughters. They are not safe around him, and protecting them will be much easier the further they are away from him. Hopefully his family will step up and try to get him help. Anyway guys, I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, let me know what you thought about it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!